A few of you have reached out to me to talk about this story right here that is coming out of Texas, and it is a very wild story. Uh, like much like many of the stories that are sent to me, even some of them I can't even talk about. But this story right here, I had to touch on. So in this picture, you see three men whose names are Frederick Randall, that's the guy in the middle, Farrakher Sadiq or Sadiqe. He's on the far right, and the last one on the left is Angel Gavin. All three of these men are bounty hunters, and basically, a bounty hunter is someone who is sent out by the court to go and apprehend someone who has not paid their bail. Basically their bail is a loan. They have a deadline to pay it, and if they don't pay it, they send the bounty hunter out to go and get them and bring them in and hold them there until they can pay that bail. That's basically what a bounty hunter is. But these three right here went outside of the bounds of them being a bounty hunter, because what they did was they went to the wrong home and entered illegally, might I add, because they have to basically get a warrant from the court to go to this person's home and then go in. But they did not, as far as I know, didn't have a warrant, or if they did, they went to the wrong home, they kicked in the wrong door, and then beat this black father and ended up terrifying his wife and grandkids, because they entered into his home illegally, and they fired their weapons after they mistaken him for a fugitive. Now, here's what else makes this bad. These three right here identified themselves as police officers. Now, let me give you a little rundown right quick, and it won't take long. Bounty hunters are not cops. They may have a badge and a gun, but they do not belong to a department or a precinct. They have their own little agency, but they're not cops. But they identified themselves as cops and went to the wrong home illegally, and did everything that they did was completely out of the protocol of what they were supposed to do. So let me go ahead and get into the story. A black father was injured after a group of bounty hunters illegally entered his family's Texas home while the man's wife and young grandchildren were present. The Harris County Sheriff's Office said three bounty hunters are facing charges after they illegally entered a home in the Houston suburb of Cypress and engaged in a shootout with a resident after mistaking him for a fugitive listed on a bail warrant. Resident Ricky Brannon told ABC 13 that on Saturday, January 16th, three men in black tactical gear pulled up in front of his home and jumped out of a vehicle shouting with guns drawn. It was just after 8 a.m. and Brannon had just gotten home. The three bounty hunters had been identified as Angel Galvin, Farrakher Sadiq, and Frederick Randall. I thought he was getting robbed, Brannon said. He tried to rush inside the home and close the door, but the men forced their way inside. Brannon rushed to get his gun, and a shootout began as all three men fired their weapons at him. Brannon's wife, Takia Thompson, tried to make it out of the house with the couple's young grandchildren, but when she got downstairs, she was met by an armed man. He told us to get on the floor or he was going to shoot us. She said, I was trying to tell him what's going on. Who are you? I have kids in the house. I have babies in here. Thompson and the grandchildren made it out of the home, but the shootout inside continued until one of the bounty hunters claimed to be a member of law enforcement, which was a red flag. Like I said, bounty hunters are not cops. The Houston Chronicle reported that Galvin was struck in the arm. I'm sorry, I skipped a paragraph. So I put my gun down and I said, look, I'm coming out. And I came out. They threw the cuffs on me and they started wailing on me, he said. The Houston Chronicle reported that Galvin was struck in the arm by gunfire and his accomplices fled from the home. Brannon told ABC 13 he was hit in the head with the gun and taken outside to sheriff's deputies. The deputies supposedly had responded to multiple 911 calls about shots fired. The Houston Chronicle reported that when authorities arrived, Brannon was being detained by three bounty hunters. Authorities disarmed the bounty hunters and sent Galvin to a hospital to be treated for his non-life-threatening injuries. They also conducted interviews with the 2 other bounty hunters. According to state law, the intruders acted illegally. The law dictates that bounty hunters cannot enter a home without permission from the residents, nor can they pose as an officer or any federal agent by wearing, carrying, or displaying a badge. All other family members in the home were unharmed. Investigators said the fugitive the men were seeking no longer lives in the home. You would think they would know that if they did some research, but looking at how these 3 knuckleheads look, they look like they couldn't even put together a declarative sentence to save their life. The bounty hunters will be charged with burglary and felony after entry. They should be there for attempted murder. After all, a shootout did happen. While there were kids present, the men were released on bond on the conditions that they do not have weapons and have no contact with residents of the home. Look, I would not have released these 3 terrorists. As far as I'm concerned, these are terrorists, and they would have not been released back to the public. So what? They can't have any weapons. So what? The fact that they came to that home and thought that that person who was there was the one person they were looking for, even though the person, according to the article, that they were looking for does no longer live there. And you had a shootout with this man while his grandkids and wife was in the home. And you announced yourselves as cops knowing damn well you weren't. That's an issue. That is an issue. I hope that when they go to court, and hopefully they do have a court date and go to trial, they find all 3 of these idiots guilty. Point blank, period. Like, what's to stop them from possibly coming back over there? They know where he lives now. If they wanted to come back, they would come back. But I'm glad that this man and his family is okay. I'm glad that he, was able to get to his gun and he was able to fire some rounds off, and they say he injured one of them. I think it's the one on the far left. But, he did what he had to do. Castle doctrine, that's what it is, castle doctrine. He was protecting his home. They must have thought that this was 21 Jump Street or whatever them cop shows are. They must have thought that this was it. And you know what I've noticed? A lot of people like them watch so much TV and so many movies that they try to imitate art and bring it into real life. That could be said a lot about a lot of these police departments around the nation. A lot of them pretend that this is TV. No, those are actors. If they get shot on TV, they're going to come back up. If you get shot in real life in a life-threatening place, you're dead. You're not coming back. There is no cut, reset. That's acting terminology for those of you who don't know. But yeah. And hopefully they got fired from their bounty hunting positions as well. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this down in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. Make sure if you haven't done so already to text that number that is pinned down in the comments below so you can receive notifications every time I upload a new video. And I will talk to you in the next one.